As a kid, you were prescribed Ritalin, right? Because you were diagnosed with ADHD or ADD.
Who the fuck knows what it was at that point, bro? Who knows,
one of them
man?
bitches. One of them bitches, right?
Right. Who knows what they called it at that point, man?
Right.
It was probably, I don't even think they had the term ADHD yet.
But what was it like growing up with what you were dealing with that you had to be prescribed something like that?
It sucked because there was zero awareness of what I had, right? They just thought I was a problem kid. They thought I was a pain in the fucking ass and I couldn't sit still. And I remember I see things that my kids both have it, right? Both kids both have ADHD. And I see in them points of frustration and things that they deal with that is really hard to snap out of and really hard to deal with and stay focused. And when I was in that zone, when I was a kid, it felt like out of body experience. I remember like getting really frustrated. There was a point where my parents had just had it with me and they're yelling at me and I was little, man. I was a fucking little kid and I was like, I can't help it. I feel like I'm like acting this way, but I'm possessed. I didn't say possessed, but I was like out of body experience. Like I can't control what's going on with my actions or even like getting in trouble and laughing while I'm getting in trouble. And it was all ADHD. I didn't want to be like that. I didn't want to be a bad kid. I didn't want to be fucked up. I didn't want to skate on all my homework, which I never fucking did homework ever. Like fucking ever. I used to fucking throw homework and fucking down alleyways and in fucking ditches and shit and be like, nah, I don't have any fucking homework. What are you talking about? You know what I mean? Like I was the worst. And then I remember like even at some point my mom had gotten some tutor somehow. I think they helped her with a tutor. And after school, I was a latchkey kid. My mom would work. I wasn't a latchkey kid. Is for anybody who doesn't know what the fuck that is. It's
I know. I was about to ask you like to clarify that for the audience in case they don't know.
It's when you go home and you have a key and you're home alone while your parents stay at work, and you got to work to a certain point. And I was a latchkey kid, and my mom had this tutor come, and I remember like running and hiding in the woods. Like there was trees. It wasn't even woods. It was like a set of trees. And I remember hiding behind these trees, watching her. Like, and I thought it was funny because she like pulled up, knocked on the door, and I would skate all that shit though. Homework, fucking anything. I didn't want to do any of that shit. So the ADHD thing was gnarly, man. And the Ritalin at that time, I don't know why this happened, but the Ritalin made me a zombie, bro. Like I couldn't, I wasn't me. I was just like it was another form of an out of body experience. And it was just terrible, man. It was a really tough time. I had no focus. I felt like I was totally out of control. And it was the most frustrating thing ever.
It kills like your creativity for a lot of people too. And like your personality, it dulls you. It's a lot of different things like that. But when you're talking about some of the problematic behaviors, are you talking like, you know, like really being one track minded, like having like having an issue, like transitioning from different activities or like being forgetful, like that type of stuff, above. Temper tantrum type of things.
Still to this day, I don't know if I ever really had temper tantrums. I would get frustrated, but I was never the type to have a fucking temper tantrum. But, and I don't think the people I was around would allot for that. Right. You know, still to this day, I'm fucking nuts. Like, I'll forget major shit. Me and my best friend, my brother Al Mayo, we just had this conversation. He's the same animal as me, man. We have the same exact ADHD. But there's times, bro, where I fucking left the house with I have like a gas stove and like I left a burner on and like left the house and went and ran a couple errands and came back and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, crazy. Shit. There's times where I'll get up, go to the bathroom, wash my hands, be doing something on my phone, and I come back around like 15 minutes later and I hear the water running. I'm like, God damn. So it's nuts, man. And then there's just a matter of focusing. There's certain times where I'm hyper focused and then certain times where I can't even get my life together because I get so overwhelmed. But, you know, once again, all those things are horrible, but in the other ways, I have superpowers that other people don't have. You know, when it comes to me locking in and working on music, no one can fuck with me. My work ethic's unmatched. The way I make albums and the way how fast I write and work on these projects and stay hyper focused.
Right. So you said growing up during the Reagan administration was traumatic because there was this war on drugs, right?
Right.
You're growing up in the 80s, you're walking the streets. Like, what are you seeing as far as your environment? Like, what is shaping you?
Just people who are fucked up. Like in the area that I grew up in, I grew up on this street. One of the streets that I grew up was Hammond Court, and all the families, we all knew each other on that. And me and my best friend Dwayne were still best friends to this day. We were best friends since we were babies. And you know, there was crazy shit. Like both of our families were fucked up with drug shit, alcoholism, just craziness, just lunacy. You know, the regular lower income lunacy that comes with that. And, you know, just wild shit, man. Like Dwayne had an uncle we used to be terrified of who was wild and named Dooney. Dooney was like the fucking boogeyman for us. You know what I'm saying? And he would pop up or we'd see him and we'd be shook, and, you know, rightfully so. But just growing up in that environment and just not really having what we needed was really tough, man. So
Seeing so much substance use around you, did that, like, from a young age kind of push you away from that kind of lifestyle?
I always wonder that because I never did shit. But what I think more of it is because of the trauma that happened to me, you know, all this shit, right? Because of all these things that formed some trauma for me, I need to be hyper in control, right? And when I feel out of control, it makes me panic. So even when I would drink and get a little bit of a buzz, I would, you know, you feel floaty when you're buzzed. That sets my brain to go, holy shit, we're out of control. Freak the fuck out. So whether it came to drinking alcohol or smoking weed, especially smoking weed, I would freak the fuck out when I felt out of control. So I think that lent a greater hand in keeping me away than me having, you know, the cognitive ability to say, oh, if I go down this route. I don't think it was as much about that. It definitely
It wasn't as much about like ruining your life per se of using substances as much as like you wanted to feel in control at all times.
Yeah, it was more about control for me in the way it made me feel more so than me, you know, figuring out that, oh, if I go down this road, I'll get fucked up too. I didn't think about that. We were wilding out, bro. We were just doing the most and doing dumb shit. Then it's like interesting too because, you know, I watched both my parents be smokers, smoke cigarettes around me, and it always grossed me out. So I don't know what kept me away. I got God to thank for all these things. You know what I'm saying? God kept me on a path that at the time I didn't even know that kept me away from all this shit. So
how would you describe yourself as a kid though? Like as far as like, were you really social? Were you quiet? You into sports?
Both.
School?
I was quiet. And it, like I said, my ADHD would be like a pinball, man. It would just be all over the place, and then it would kind of subside, and I would crash out and like, you know, fall back and not be very social. But for the most part, I was pretty social and outgoing. Like I said, I had to also develop that skill to be liked at new schools. You know what I'm saying? But and so I think that was the biggest thing. And what was the other thing you asked me about?
Well, never mind about the school because obviously you said you never did homework or anything like that,
Hell
so
no.
you weren't into school. Was it
Fuck
boring for you? Like, did you feel like it was just going too slow? Because a lot of times when people are so smart, they feel like public school systems are just like, you know what I mean, holding them back.
That's 1,000% what it was. I remember at one point, we met with the teachers, and it was a parent-teacher conference, and they were telling my mom like they were gonna maybe this was the first threat where they said they were gonna hold me back. And I was like, yo, we learned about the Boston Tea Party for the third year in a row. This is like every year we're learning the same stuff. We're not learning anything detailed. I just feel like you're spoon feeding us memory driven shit and we're not learning anything. And I used to get so bored with it and it was just terrible. And so I would just tune out, man. And I would just fuck around and fuck off and be silly. And that was really it. And just do whatever the fuck I wanted to do. And it's funny. Like I said, being a father, there's things that bother me that, you know, I'm trying to figure out for my daughter's sake too. Like my daughter's very similar to me. And like we went to her school and like things I forgot about, right? And we went to her school for a parent teacher thing. and I like look in her desk, and all the other kids, they got desks that's all normal. It's like books with paper. My daughter's like, she jammed 5,000 things, crumpled up shit. It's just a huge mess. And it fucked me up because I flashbacked really hardcore to that's what my shit looked like. My desk was a fucking disaster site. Just so that ADHD thing is definitely fucked, and it's something that, you know, I'm trying to work on with her, and you know, figure out. It's hard for me though, because look at me. I'm still living it and then trying to teach her and guide her through that.
Right.
So, you know, we work with her school. She's got a great school that she goes to, and we're working on that.
What about sports? Were you really into sports?
That's what you would ask. That's what it was. I was naturally good at sports, but the problem is that with my parents and with me, there was no discipline for me to stay in anything or to continue anything or to keep going. So I never stuck with anything. I never did shit. I was naturally good. Like my uncle was really incredible in basketball, and he was naturally good at sports too. And, you know, whether I threw baseballs or threw footballs or, you know, played soccer or fucked around and played basketball, I was nice at everything, just naturally. Like I had that raw talent, but there was
athletic.
I was super athletic, you know, and even skateboarding and all that shit, but there was no follow through for organized sports or school. And who knows, that might have kept me in school if I would have went that route.
For sure, man.